I'll show you the dark side. No, I'm just kidding. Let's get rid of that. Hi, and welcome to my Star Wars review. I'm Hearst Guy again. This is going to be quite the extensive review, so I apologize at the beginning here for how long this video is going to be, because I have pages of notes that I want to actually discuss on The Force Awakens, and just my overall knowledge of George Lucas's initial vision as well. Yeah, so let's just start with the spoiler-free review, and really all I can say about it is just one word: favorable. That's the word I chose. Just as a standalone film, it's good. You should see it. That's it. So, now that the spoiler-free review is out of the way, I'm gonna talk quite a lot about a lot of different topics that I really realized watching the movie, which as now this has been my fourth time actually sitting down and watching it, and I feel like I'm stuck in the same world as I was right after Age of Ultron came out, that everyone around me seemed to like it a lot more than I did. Okay, so I feel like I'm back in that feeling, where, like, I think the movie's good. Overall, it's good. But, being the Star Wars fanatic that I am, and just, I've seen all 6 movies at the theater. Obviously, when Episode 1 came out, I was only 15, so I only saw Episodes 4, 5, and 6 in the theater as the re-release, with all of the new footage and everything in the 90s. And then I saw Episode 1 twice in the theater, once when it was brand new, and then when they came out and said that they were going to shoot them all in 3D. I went and saw Episode 1 in 3D as well, back whatever year that was, 2006 maybe? Whenever it was, anyway. I got posters and everything of the say, now in 3D, Episode 1. But, so I've been a loyal fan for a long, long time. My uncle got me into the series when I was probably 6 or 7. And I absolutely could not stand Empire Strikes Back. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was boring. I thought Yoda looked like my great-grandmother, and there was no way that I was going to look at that little green thing and see a badass. I've changed from that. I admit I was wrong and stupid and young and all of those good things. But yeah, over the course of the years, I'm 31 now, almost 32, and like I said, my first time seeing Episode 1, I was 15, and I think maybe that's why I like the prequel trilogy just as much as the original 3. So, spoiler alert, I don't hate the first 3 episodes. I love all 6 before this one. So Episode 7 is good. They leave a lot of questions unanswered, and as a first out of a trilogy, that's understandable. So we'll see where that takes us. Obviously, something did come out today, Christmas Eve, that I saw where it actually confirms where Rey comes from because of Disney Infinity 3.0. There's a hidden gem in there that allows you to understand where exactly where she comes from. So I'm not going to say that right now. So if you haven't seen that video, I will explain that after I go through what my arguments were for where I think she came from. So it's going to be hard to kind of argue for an idea that I know is already wrong. But oh well. That's just the kind of thing that happens. So, let's just get into this. All of my points and everything that I've just heard through friends, like Like my buddy Ryan mentioned a good thing, like Chewbacca's crossbow now shoots red instead of green. Why? Why does J.J. Abrams have to make a change like that? You know, and it's not spoken about. There's no reasoning behind it. You know, the only thing I could think of is at green, its power level is full. And as it wears down and the batteries need to be changed, maybe it turns red just so the user knows. Like, beep, beep, up, running low on batteries. Time to plug it into my iPod docking station to recharge it. Or, you know, it's a Star Wars themed iPod docking station, so it's totally cool. You can use that in that world. You know, I don't know, but, you know, so we touched base on that, so I'm just gonna cross that off. And that Ryan noticed that. I mean, I felt like something was different, but it didn't really strike me the first time that I saw it that was changed. But what I did notice is that by saying that the EU, the expanded universe of the Star Wars universe, all of the cartoons, all of the video games, everything is irrelevant, excuse me, that really did something to me that kind of isn't cool. And being that I've read all of it, not all of, but a lot into the EU, I think the first thing that this movie does is just cut Palpatine's balls off. Palpatine, if you don't know, is an insanely sweet Sith. Like, he is the Sith master of all Sith masters. Like, this guy sat in the shadows and did everything to become, like, basically as powerful as a non-Jedi or Sith person can become. In just the Senate, he became that, and then used his Force powers to then amplify his reign over everything. Like, and that's not something he did in one generation. He had been working with those Camino people that do all the cloning with Jango Fett, you know, that you see in the movies, making all those clones. He used them to clone bodies of himself, so that he, through a technique that he learned through Darth Plagueis, was able to transfer his essence from one body to another, and in a couple instances, inanimate objects. But he was able to jump from body to body to body to body to body. So we have no idea how long Sidious could in fact live, you know, or Palpatine is Darth Sidious, if you didn't already know that. But he's such a huge character there, and now we have to believe that he just died when Darth Vader picked him up and threw him down a corridor, or down that giant, whatever you want to call it, into a vast openness of nothing, and then blew up and had like a ghost skull fly up at the screen. He's dead. That's it? Okay, because I really thought that symbolized his essence leaving that body to jump into one of the other clones. Let's say the first 22 clones that he had with him on that Death Star 2 at that time. That, I mean, that's speculation. It's not written that way, but at least I don't think so. But anyway, he jumps from the body to body and then escapes, you know, the same way that everyone else seems to escape. But a big thing for me as well is that in this movie, after the Star Wars, well, Lucasfilm Star Wars, The Force Awakens, Luke has gone missing. The first sentence is Luke has gone missing? Why? What in the world's up with that? Like of course, if you go and you kill the head honcho of everybody evil, period, you just cut that dude down, he's dead. His right-hand man is dead. Palpatine, Vader, dead. Luke Skywalker, the epitome of all good, the last remaining Jedi, the last of the old school Jedi, is the most powerful being at that point. So it seems like if you go missing, somebody's going to be like, well, this is kind of left unattended. You know, maybe I could just stand up there and start giving orders. So that seems very dumb on Luke's part. Like, obviously that's what would happen. So, and then the answer to my last question, like, why is Luke missing? Han Solo just briefly discusses in maybe, 4 or 5 sentences that Luke Skywalker has started up this new Jedi school and then an apprentice overthrown everything and destroyed everything. Now, we're guessing that apprentice is in fact Kylo Ren, but it could be anybody. No, maybe Kylo Ren's buddy, or let's just say Ben Solo, his buddy at the time, could have been the one that actually overthrown it, and then just when everything went to hell, Ben was like, okay, well, I'll go see what else is going on in the universe. And that's when Snoke actually approached him, and Leia's words seduced him into the dark side, and then started training him to do whatever. Now, I feel like if Luke really started a new school of Jedi and everything went to hell, I want to see that. Like, I want to see Luke actually start to train Jedi. I want to see the next school of 5, 6, 7 Jedi that are going to step up and be part of the new school. And then we could obviously have time to fall in love with those characters and then be devastated when someone overthrows the school and destroys it all. You know, that because we care about those characters now. Now, another thing that I really don't like is that Kylo Ren is striving to be Darth Vader, but through the events of Episode 6, with Luke going there with all intent to kill Vader and Palpatine, and through whatever story, however you want to follow that path, is successful. They are both dead. So, therefore, he shouldn't be afraid of anything, but when Kylo Ren, or this new apprentice, starts to mess everything up and destroy the new school, shouldn't Luke be able to actually defeat him pretty easily? Like, how is Kylo Ren somebody that Luke Skywalker should cower from when he just openly stood up to Vader, who the entire galaxy would be afraid of someone saying, I am Darth Vader? Like, you know, that's a big deal. And I also do not like how C-3PO in this has a red arm. That makes absolutely no sense to me. And, you know, the only thing that I have not seen with Star Wars slapped on the title screen of it is that Star Wars Rebels. Or as I like to call it, just Star Wars Rebels. Because I'm rebelling against it and I won't watch it. Because Stephanie and I started to watch the first disc of it, and it was just so boring. I couldn't get into those characters or anything, and I hear it gets better as the time goes on, but it's just like, it was dreadful. I just couldn't get into it. But in an interview with J.J. Abrams, he said C-3PO has a red arm just for the simple fact to show that time has passed with that character between the last time that we saw him and now. Okay, like, we know that by looking at Leia. like if Leia and C-3PO were standing next to each other at the end of Episode 6, and then they were standing next to each other in their first new appearance in Episode 7, just by her sheer age, we can tell C-3PO's been alive and kicking that entire time. Also, if he was living with a princess or a general, if you want to demote her to a general, what it seems like that J.J. Abrams was trying to do in this movie. Like, if he's living there with her, she's a princess, she's a general, she can afford a new a new gold arm, and she should have paid for that silver leg to be upgraded to the gold leg. That would have shown enough time has passed. If she was just like, hey, hi, I'm C-3PO, you might not recognize me because my leg is gold. So no, I don't agree with you on there, JJ. And I feel like my next thing on here is that we're just missing story elements like Rise of the First Order. Like it said that Snoke like brought this into power somehow. What exactly forced Ben Solo to become Kylo Ren? What happened that made Luke actually fail this new Jedi Order and have everything fall apart? Was Luke way on the other side of the galaxy when someone just showed up or just mentally snapped and started to destroy everything? And it was like just in the time that it took him to get word and then get back, or feel it through the ways of the Force, like, and then get back there, like everything was already falling apart. Like, I just don't get it. Like, that needs to be a cartoon. That needs to be some sort of movie or something to actually put us through that. We need to see what actually happened there, I feel like. And Starkiller being built, I mean, I'm no genius, but when you look at that, when they show it next to the Death Star in that simulation, they show it like this was the Death Star and this is Starkiller. Excuse me. And like the weapon, is it on my shirt? No. Okay, the weapon of Starkiller is actually like beset into the side of the planet. And it's like huge. It's this huge thing that I feel like it would take 30 years just to excavate all that dirt out of there to put the gun inside there. Like, you know, so obviously it could have taken way before the Death Star's creation to build this thing. They could have been doing it forever. You know, only Snoke would know, I guess, because, you know, I want to get into Snoke later, but like how did Han Solo and Chewbacca lose the Millennium Falcon? What happened there? And why did they have to search for it? Like, I mean, obviously, if they said that it was this guy who stole it from these guys, who stole it from this guy, who stole it from that guy, who stole it from Han Solo. So, I mean, like, I feel like you could have traced that lineage pretty easily being Han Solo. Like, just take a Jedi with you and be like, you will tell me where the Millennium Falcon went. Thanks. And then we need, of course, the backstories on Finn, Rey, and Poe. Now, I guess Poe was originally written for Wedge Antilles. You know, but the actor who played Wedge Antilles just didn't want to do the role again because he said it would be boring. And I really felt like when Finn first gets the lightsaber and he's like battling with that, what is it, like a SWAT trooper? You know, and then they get captured, and then here comes Poe Dameron flying in and just is the best pilot in the history of pilots ever. You know, like, that scene would have been amazingly better if it was Wedge Antilles, like, just this old dude, just straight murking everything instantly. Like having it be this Poe Dameron guy that we don't know, that we don't even care about him at that point. Like, we see him in the opening scene where he's abducted by Kylo Ren, and he, like, smacks a joke at Kylo Ren. And then he just gets on the plane, and then he's tortured a bit, and that's it. He like flies to the escape out of that as well, but I mean, there's nothing really to actually build value in the hearts of the audience in that character before he shows up and is that awesome. R2-D2 has so little screen time in this. Like, what in the French? Like, that makes no sense to me either. And I think that the story could have been just as good if R2 had the actual final piece of where Luke's location was because of his relationship with Luke. It would make sense that Luke was like, here, R2, this is where I'm going. This is where you can find me. and BB-8 had the whole rest of the map. That would have made more sense to me. Because, I mean, why does this wizard guy have the map, gives it to Poe Dameron, who gives it to BB-8, that, yeah, I don't understand it. It doesn't seem like it's that good. And I will continuously go back to just bad writing overall with this film. So, another big point that I don't like is that Disney said outright that the EU does not exist in this world. Everything that happened before in the expanded universe as happening after 4, 5, and 6, that's irrelevant. It doesn't work. It didn't happen. Blah, 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 blah. Alright? So, in the expanded universe, Han Solo and Princess Leia have a son. His name is Jason Solo. Jason Solo becomes a Sith. If you're saying that the expanded universe doesn't exist, you just stole information from it to put in your film right now. Okay? That being said, Luke Skywalker has a son and names him after Obi-Wan's nickname, Ben. So, Luke is Ben's son. Jason Solo is Han's Solo. And then Kylo Ren is named Ben Solo. So you stole again from the EU. Even this logo... Oh, wrong side. Even this logo, this Sith logo, or the New Order logo, was an old Sith logo from the EU. So they took that imagery from the EU and just plastered it on their Kylo Ren starships, or Snoke starships, or whoever's in control of all this. And then, okay, so another thing is, when I was watching this movie, and Kylo Ren, when BB-8 steals the freighter, he's like, sir, Kylo Ren, sir, BB-8, got away. He stole a transport. And then Kylo Ren, goes apeshit and, cuts the wall all to hell with his lightsaber, Aah! Being a super cry little baby wimpy geek. And then, there's people in the audience opening night that were like, yeah! When he was doing that. And immediately I just thought, wait, the audience thinks it's cool when this guy turns on a lightsaber and cuts the hell out of a wall, but when Anakin throws a bit of a fit and throws a cup, he's like, eh. Everybody's like, I'm gonna remove that from my memory forever. Forget George Lucas in these movies. Attack of the Clones, Attack of the Poop. Crap. No. So I don't understand that at all. Now, after using the Force for... I'm being facetious here, but after using the Force for 2 hours, maybe, Rey is now able to best Kylo Ren in a lightsaber duel. Now, Kylo Ren's been trained for, years. X amount of years, but years nonetheless. Because I'm guessing that Luke's school didn't, they didn't start the school and then have everything be destroyed in a week. So I'm guessing it took years to actually build Ben Solo up to some sort of Jedi, and then have everything fall apart, and then have Snoke seduce him to the dark side, so that Snoke didn't have to start at zero, because what Sith Lord, if he turns out to be a Sith Lord, wants to start at ground zero for his apprentice? They don't do that. So, Kylo Ren had to be something before he became... Or Ben Solo had to be something before he became Kylo Ren. And that's just so weird to me that, he's like, we have to find Rey. She gets stronger by the minute. She's just now starting to use her force powers, This is bad. By the minute, she's getting stronger out there, sitting there in the woods doing whatever. I mean, people tend to think that she bested him because Kylo Ren was shot. He was weakened by Chewbacca's bowcaster being shot in the gut. It's kind of off to one side, but it's basically the gut. And my thoughts behind that is you must not have been paying attention, because when Rey when it cuts back to their fight, it shows Rey like desperately trying to block every attack that he's coming with, and he's pressing the attack and forcing her backwards down this corridor, and then she has to like turn for a minute, and she jumps up onto like this rock face, and then jumps off the other direction on like out of the valley onto flat ground there. And he's like super quick right there. He's all over the place backing her up. When she jumps up there, he slices the ground at her feet. And then when she jumps again, he slices the ground like by where she's going to land again before jumping up there. Like, his movement is not stunted at all. He's still fast. He's still overwhelming to her. And you know, and I think with that wound, I think he keeps hitting it for one of three reasons. And I think the first reason is going to be the one that he actually uses it for. And I think he's punching it so that he feels the pain, so he can turn that pain into anger, into hate, into fighting better. Another one is just he's trying to pump blood through it. I don't know. He's trying to just numb it. I don't know, but I think he's trying to use that as a way to fuel that fight, to actually, you know, be better than he is, actually, like, take her out, you know. And why is the hold on, what does it say there? And you know, another thing that I say on my notes here is that in the comic books, when Darth Vader was fighting, I think it was a clone of Darth Maul. I know it wasn't the main Darth Maul, but to actually beat Darth Maul, he actually stabbed himself through the chest to actually get the kill shot on Darth Maul, who was behind him. You know, so I mean, Sith are known for taking these type of horrible wounds in the middle of battle to actually, like, still be able to come out on top. Alright, but why was the First Order not using clones? We're not really understanding that at all, because in Episode 2, when we actually find out about Kamino, you know, I believe they say that there's 1 million clones done, with 2 million clones on the way. Excuse me again. Wow, this pizza's really affecting me. I'm sorry about all the burping. You know, so we're getting 3 million clones essentially being made, at least, just from the films, not just staying out of the EU for the sake of the movie fight. But we're seeing these 3 million clones, and then in 30 years, you know, what happened to these clones? Why are they now, in Finn's words, stealing babies to be trained as warriors? You know, to be better than clones. Like, those clones are conditioned to be fighters. You know, by stealing a baby, you don't know what you're gonna get. And why did Mark Hamill have to lose 30 pounds for this film? It was either 30 pounds or 35 pounds to be in this movie, because all Luke Skywalker does in this movie is literally, like, put his hood down, turn around, look at Rey, and it looks like he almost starts to cry. Like, in minus one shot where, like, the helicopter's, like, flying behind him, in one shot, it's his full body. Everything else is, like, nipple up. So he could have a huge, humongous beer gut and nobody would know any different. So, make him lose 30 pounds for that, for nothing? Why didn't he say anything in the movie? If you ask anybody, hey, that's seen it, hey, are you happy with Luke Skywalker's part in this movie? If they say yes, you just slap them. Because that's a fucking lie. there's nobody that should see that and just be like, oh yeah, Luke was cool in this movie. That just wouldn't happen. You know, and Rey is just standing there holding the lightsaber out for like, I don't even know. It seems like a minute and a half that just goes by, that we're just waiting for something to happen. And like, I was just wanting Luke to say something or do something. You know, I mean, if it was me writing the movie, I would have just been like, there was a hand attached to that when I lost it, so you couldn't bring that back too? I kind of like my hand. You know, I would have been cool with that. But a friend of mine, Aaron, he was like, when she's holding out the lightsaber, she should have like started shaking it and like, please take it, and then stop shaking her hand and then have the lightsaber still shake, and then he like force pull it from her, and then off screen, you hear it buzz on, and then it would just cut to black across her face. You know, and that would have been a cool little ending. That would have built suspense, made you actually wonder what was going to happen. Now, the actor that plays Kylo Ren, they show his face halfway through the movie almost, or about that, where, he has captured Rey, and he's just sitting there waiting for her to come out of unconsciousness. And she wakes up and she's like, well, I was being hunted by a monster in a mask, so of course I'm going to be afraid of you. And so he just like stands up and like takes his mask off, and he looks like Andy Samberg. I was like, what the world? Like Andy Samberg, from Hot Rod without the mustache. But like big puffy hair, like he's got the best volumizing shampoo in the galaxy. And he's just so mean. And Stephanie and I were sitting there like, wow, Andy Samberg is so mean. But Saturday Night Live is going to have to do some awesome skits with Andy Samberg dressed up as this guy, I swear. It's going to be great stuff. Great material. All he's got to do is be whiny and like be Andy Samberg in every Andy Samberg video. Or Kylo Ren is now part of the Lonely Island. I want to see like a Lonely Island song, and it'd just be Kylo Ren, and then he's like, psych! Just take his mask off and just straight start murdering it. Like, I like Lonely Island too much, though. Okay, and then the character design for Kylo Ren. Now, this is another thing stolen from the EU. The lightsaber. Right, his lightsaber. I bought a poster, and I was looking at the poster long before the movie came out, and I realized that the blade on Kylo Ren's lightsaber is unstable. Now, if you remember the way that lightsabers are constructed in the EU, that unstable lightsabers look like that when the crystal that are used are unstable. So that should only happen when it is a natural crystal, lightsaber crystal, right? From Coruscant, the Jedi have their own cave that has all of those crystals, right? So when you find one that's unstable, that's what gives those little flecks and all of the craziness of the blade itself into the construction of the lightsaber. Now, Sith use red lightsabers because red is the only color that you can make a synthetic crystal out of. So making a synthetic unstable crystal makes no sense, because you're not going to make something that only barely works if you're going to make something synthetically. Like you wouldn't just make a t-shirt that barely works as a t-shirt and try to use it for everyday activities. So that doesn't make any sense for them to do that. Even if it could be done, it doesn't make sense to me. Like you're stealing from the EU for no reason again. I get that maybe it's a way of saying that Kylo Ren is unstable himself emotionally, so that's why we have Kylo Ren being who he is with that type of saber. I understand that. Also, the two additional blades of the lightsaber coming off there do not serve the purpose that like a real sword would have if it had that. Because anytime that you're in the sword fight, those are made to protect your hand from the other blade coming down. And because they're lightsabers, they have a little bit of actual metal lightsaber on each side of the full blade that you would just cut right through anyway. And I think Rey does. I mean, we don't see the lightsaber after it's cut. But I mean, that's what it looked like, is that she cut right between those blades anyway. So, that just didn't work out for him either. Now, C-3PO and R2-D2 don't really interact at all in this movie. They say like a couple of words to each other, you know, and the C-3PO is like, R2-D2 is my old friend, and that's it. But in this movie, R2-D2 is just kept in a corner with a bunch of garbage piled around him, and they just put a blanket over him, like, he's not worthless, but he ain't worth nothing now, so let's just keep him over there. Now, I hear people that say that they like the chemistry between Rey and Finn, although I didn't see it. I mean, I think I saw better chemistry between Finn and BB-8. Like, when they went through that whole discussion about, like, hey, BB-8, I'm not really Resistance, but I can still help you out if you tell her where we're going, and then she'll fly us there. You know, I have no connection to the opposing team. I'm just not part of the same team that you're on. You know, and there's a scene where he's like, yeah, thumbs up, and BB-8 gives the lighters up back to him, and it was really cool. I thought that was a good bit of chemistry between them. It made both of them likable, and we needed that. Also in this movie, this is the first time that we see a girl as a stormtrooper. But not only a stormtrooper, but captain. She's Captain Phasma. And I don't understand that either. Like okay, so they're stealing people from families to make into slaves, throwing stormtrooper outfits on them, and they even now get women, I guess. Like, okay, I understand that they could do that for their numbers, but it just seems out of place as well. Also, I feel like the stormtroopers in this are very much individualized. Like, they have, like, a lot of them have different customizable armors. They have different things that distinguish them from other stormtroopers. And the thing that I liked about the clone troopers originally is that they were just clones. They knew they were clones. They knew what they had to do, and they just did it. There wasn't, a lot to actually give each one personality. I mean, of course, Fives had personality. Of course, there was General Rex, who we love. We love Commander Cody. You know, there are standout stormtroopers or clone troopers, whichever you want to call them, that have that charisma, have that personality, but now we're giving complete diversity to the stormtroopers. Like, it just seemed way oversaturated with different types of armors and everything. So it didn't seem to fit the overall theme. I was, in fact, glad that at the opening of the movie it said Lucasfilm, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, Episode 7, The Crawl, into the film. Standing in line waiting for this movie to happen, I was debating in my mind things that could be changed. And that was one of the things I was really worried about, is that, there's opening credits for every movie that you go and see ever, right? Except for those 6. So sitting down at this movie, I was like, I'm going to be kind of mad if at the beginning of this movie they're telling me the actor of Finn, the actor who plays C-3PO, the actor, just run through all of those names at the beginning. I would have just been like, okay, well, that's forced in there. So I was very glad to not see that, because I think it kind of just completes the overall feel of, like, this is just the Star Wars world. Like, it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. We don't want to be reminded of who the actors are before we see them do shit. We want to delve into the Star Wars universe and be there. So I feel like that was a very good thing that J.J. Abrams did by leaving all of that out. The opening scene was amazingly badass. Like, it was awesome. We got to see Kylo Ren do some crazy stuff. We got to see blood. This is the first time in the whole Star Wars universe that there's blood, and it's forced upon our face very easily early on. You know, Poe snipes a guy, and Finn, dressed as our stormtrooper before we know it's Finn, goes over there, and then the dying stormtrooper wipes blood across the face mask of Finn. And Kylo Ren stopping that blast when Poe tried to shoot him was amazing. That was awesome. I love that whole opening scene built up to be something super great. Why make another desert planet? I mean, did J.J. Abrams just not get filming rights to shoot on location in Tatooine? Like, why do you have to make Jakku? I mean, I understand that there's only one sun this time, so it's completely different. I understand that, but we don't need another desert planet. We didn't. And this movie is exactly Episode 4. Like, when I say exactly Episode 4, I mean exactly Episode 4. Like, I could spend the next hour going through, like, every fucking instance that this movie is exactly the same. Like, just a brief moment here, all in the opening segments of the movie, is like a lone person in a desert planet dreams of something great. This person now finds a droid with information that the Empire is looking for. Or Empire / First Order, because, I mean, it's the same. In the movie realm, it's the same. The villains are looking for it. This information, right? And then the droid forces these people to go on an adventure. And then they all go to a cantina with a shitty band playing shitty music. And then the Empire shows up at the cantina, making everybody run around crazy. And that's just the end there. You know, so, but I mean, like, there's so many points where you're just like, you look at it and you're like, that's exactly from Episode 4. Like, Rey calling the Millennium Falcon garbage. He's like, can we escape on that ship? She's like, nah, that's garbage. We need this one. And then runs for it. And then the one that they want to go to blows up, so then she's like, okay, fine, garbage will do. And then they run and jump onto the Millennium Falcon and fly away. Alright, but in Episode 4, when Luke first sets eyes on the Millennium Falcon, what does he say? Write it in the comments. What a piece of junk! You know, so, I mean, there's so many throwbacks to Episode 4 that it was way too much. In 30 years of craftsmanship, 30 years of the Empire / First Order building stuff, they still make one spot accessible from the outside that if it is shot, the whole thing blows up. They even comment on it, like when they're looking at the monitor and like Han Solo's like, they always put one spot where it will make the whole thing blow up. And Leia's like, Han's right. Let's figure it out. Let's do it. It's too crazy. Another thing is like Death Star. If they just switch those two words around, now it's not Death Star, it's Star Death. Well, Star Death doesn't sound good. How about Star Killer? Let's go with that. The 3D board game on the Millennium Falcon was good. That it still looked exactly like it did in Episode 4. But did we need to see that again to know that it was the same Millennium Falcon? That it's the same table? No. Finn picks up the robot droid, like I forget what it is, like the pokey. Let's quote that little 3-year-old girl. The Pokeball, that shoots Luke with those pokes. That's why it's a Pokeball, no relation to the Pokemon universe. But it kept shooting at Luke to have him practice with the lightsaber. Like, Finn picks that thing up and, like, looks at it for, no, that's garbage. And sets it aside. That was enough to make us realize, okay, this is not a Millennium Falcon. It's the Millennium Falcon. We didn't need to have Finn put his arm down and have the game come on for no reason at all. That just seemed forced. And okay, now back to what I was saying about the opening scene. I was again in favor of the opening of this movie. It was great. I thought seeing the planet there with its with the little moon, and then have the big ship fly over the front of it. I always think it's great when a Star Wars film opens up with the planet, the big ship. It just keeps with the theme. It makes you feel like you're small in the universe, and the Empire is the big bad guy. And I feel like it puts you right into that mindset as soon as that happens. You're like, oh, dang, this is about to go down. So I like that. When they're going to kill Captain Phasma, Finn asks Han Solo, what should we do with her? And they say, is there a trash compactor around? A garbage chute with a trash compactor? And he's like, yeah, there is. So, that was kind of a cute little reference. But Han still owes money to everyone in the galaxy. You think living with a princess would solve your money issues? How long did he actually stay with Leia and have at least one child? How long did you live there to get no riches from it? They got a divorce or separated, and he was just like, you know what, princess, you just keep your money. I don't care about that. I'll just swindle my way through the universe like I did, the first 26 years before I met y'all. That seemed weird. Now, as far as directing goes, good old side wipes are here. We still got side wipes, so that was kind of cool. Hux, General Hux, I think they made him a redhead just to make sure that we know right from the beginning he is a soulless, evil bastard. And I appreciated that, because I was immediately afraid of that dude. Although, I think Hux and Grand Moff Tarkin are way too similar, and again, that goes back to the Episode 7 is just a new version of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. I already mentioned that Wedge Antilles didn't want to be in the movie. Ewan McGregor appears in this film by voice. Ewan McGregor recorded new Obi-Wan dialogue in a flashback scene where all that's heard is Rey. He just says her name. When she touches the lightsaber and gets the flashback of memories of her past, a past life, just the lightsaber's memories, we don't know. But Obi-Wan spoke to her through that. There were way too many reused dialogue in this film, minus the Wilhelm scream, of course. Because the Wilhelm scream, I get it. Foley artist, good job, put that in there, cool. I'm cool with it. I like looking for Wilhelm screams in different movies, but when Finn gets to Jakku and he's looking through all of these different vendors' stuff to find water, I noticed a reused dialogue from Episode 1 where the vendors say something in some alien language, and it's the same. It's exactly the same. It's the same bit of dialogue, and you'll notice a lot of those same things being used over and over and over again. Like Obi-Wan in Episode 1 says, I have a bad feeling about this. Han Solo says, I have a bad feeling about this in Episode 7. Everybody seems to say, I have a bad feeling about this at some point in these movies. It's now Finn says that he's a sanitation worker, right? So why does a sanitation worker on the Star Killer automatically find himself in the first battle of the movie? Like, this is his first battle where he goes to the village and he's ordered to kill everybody. All of the villagers. Like, how did he get from sanitation to killing a village? Like, why? Why'd that happen? Let's see. Oh, okay, I did say, why did a weird guy have the last puzzle piece of Luke's whereabouts? What happened on Jakku? Why are there AT-ATs and destroyers just all in rubble down there? And I didn't seem to notice any rebel things other than Rey has a helmet of a rebel rebel X-wing fighter pilot helmet. Like, I didn't see that. And what was the fate of Darth Vader's helmet? Like, he was set on a funeral pyre in Episode 6 and lit ablaze. Now, I'm guessing that the helmet is plastic. I mean, it looks like it's plastic to me. I mean, yeah, it's got that metal harmonica in it and the little pew 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 pew, little, like, jet, or little, like, blaster jets on the end there that are metal, obviously. But, like, how did Kylo Ren track down the actual Darth Vader helmet, and it's still, like, you can still tell what it is. Like, it looks like there's ashes inside of it or whatever, but, like, how do you get that? And how is Anakin's saber back into Luke's hand? Kinda. Like, I mean, he obviously doesn't take it, but, like, how did that lightsaber find his way back to the Skywalker family? Like, that's kind of a cool little journey as well. Like, we could have, like, a 30-minute cartoon about, like, just what had happened to the lightsaber after Episode 5 when he lost it. You know, and watch some traders, like, trade it through all the way to Mos, and then we'll have that actually understanding too. Because, I mean, like, how does Maz just acquire stuff like that? That's weird. No, this I thought was pretty cool, but Timmy Williams of The Whitest Kids You Know says that Rey and Finn were actually Star Wars fans that realized that they lived in the Star Wars universe, because like, and I read Timmy Williams' post on Facebook about that, and I was just like, he is so right, because Finn is like, you're Han Solo? That Han Solo? Oh my God, you're the war hero, you're the legendary smuggler, you're Luke Skywalker is real? I thought he was a myth. Oh my God. It would be like how I would react in real life if, like, I just saw somebody and they came out and turned on a real lightsaber. I'd be like, no! And I would throw a fit. And I feel like that's what they're doing. So, good job, Timmy. You figured it out. Fuck Sam Brown. And if Kylo Ren is so fascinated with being stronger than Darth Vader, why doesn't he not communicate with Anakin's ghost? Anakin's ghost is there. You have 4 regular Jedi that you can talk to from the original. You can see and talk to Yoda's ghost. You can see and talk to Obi-Wan's ghost. Let's see, Yoda, Anakin, and Obi-Wan. And then Qui-Gon Jinn has the Force voice. He didn't learn how to materialize himself into an aspirition, a Force ghost, but he was able to actually speak to Yoda to tell him that type of power existed, and then Yoda was the first to complete that training, and then he told Obi-Wan how to communicate with Qui-Gon, and then Qui-Gon taught him how to actually do that too. And if you watch Star Wars, the Clone Wars, the computer-generated animated series, you'll actually see Yoda go through that complete training, which was awesome. Good writing on that show. So yeah, I don't understand why, like, you would dedicate all of this time, all of this effort into being some great Jedi or Sith just to denounce being able to talk directly to the guy. Like, Anakin's Force ghost is there. Learn to talk to him. Why does J.J. Abrams use computer-generated lens flares? Now, my first time watching the movie, I didn't really notice them because I was too giddy, or whatever adjective you want to put in there. So I was like too overwhelmed by all the sheer immensity of like, it's the Star Wars universe, for me to see all these lens flares. But my second time, I noticed a couple, and then the third time, I really noticed them, just about all of them, probably. But yeah, I don't understand why you have to use computer-generated lens flares. Like, and the big one was like, well, the two big ones I noticed was when Kylo Ren stops the shot from Poe in the beginning, and it's hovering there, like the camera passes right next to it, and the lens flare like takes up the whole screen almost. So that was kind of like, I was like, oh, okay, there's a lens flare. I noticed it's J.J. Abrams directing now. But then through the course of the rest of the film, I noticed 3 different errors. One thing I noticed was when, at the beginning, the opening scene with Rey, there was 2 errors there. It's either a director error or just editor error. The first thing that I noticed was that she was standing next to something like that. Like, this is a very huge opening, and it was serrated like that, and then it just changed right to like flat circle in the next shot. It showed her like walking out with that piece that she rips off when you very first see her, and she's like stuffing it in a bag or something, and you see her against it, and you can see that it's all cut like cogs of a wheel, and then the camera cuts, and then it shows her from a little farther away, like getting onto her little piece of metal to slide down the hill. And when you look behind her, it's just flat circle. It's not. There's no like inner shape to it at all. It's just flat circle. And then when she sits on it to actually slide down the hill, there's a piece of her outfit that is dragging on the ground like way behind her. And then when the camera cuts again to her coming to a stop at the bottom of the hill, it just changes to a straight square. It changes to it's not back there anymore. And then she just stands up and grabs the rope and pulls it off. Another error that I found was when at the end, when Kylo Ren force pushes her against a tree and knocks her out. When Finn goes over there to roll her over to check on her to see if she's okay, the actress playing Rey lifts her leg off the ground all by her own self and repositions it. So she's laying almost face down, and then he starts to push her. She lifts her leg up, turns, and then sets it back down on the ground. I noticed that the first time I watched this movie. Like I noticed things like that probably more than the average person does, but yeah, I just thought that was bad. Like, bad take, retake, reshoot, positions, people, do it again. This is Star Wars. Can't have shies like that just roaming around. There's probably going to be more too that I didn't notice yet. So fill me in. Right in the comment section below what's going on there. At the end of the film, you see Luke standing at a tombstone. It's some sort of headstone of some kind. I mean, who would have been buried there? Why would he be worried about anyone being buried? I don't understand that at all, because I mean, with the Jedi you just burn them. So Obi-Wan had no body. Yoda had no body to bury. Darth Vader burned. Qui-Gon burned. Anakin buried his mother. Who would he be standing at the gravesite of? Who does Luke care about that's dead that would be buried on some remote planet? Okay, now, the last bit that I have, I'm not even going to explain it, but that right there, if you look this up in Arabic, the Star Wars language, that is written on the side of the Rebel helmet. that Rey finds. She puts it on, sitting at the end of the AT-AT. She finds that helmet. Write in the comment section below what those three actually translate to, because that might give us a hint. That's all of my notes. Now I'm going to speak on something that I really had 4 theories for, and I hinted towards it at the beginning of the video. Where does Rey come from? Who is Rey? Really, in my opinion, I believe that she was a Palpatine clone. And I only came to that conclusion for one of 2 reasons. First reason being that she lives in an AT-AT. Now, I feel like, okay, first off, I feel like she was the 23rd clone of Palpatine, hence it being the different gender. Okay, so just like Wolverine, how X-23 is a female, so that's why I said 23 clones. Okay, so I felt like now this is Palpatine regaining his own consciousness, kind of, becoming Force sensitive in this new body. Now, it doesn't take that long in the EU, but the EU doesn't matter, right? So that's why I said that. So, but by living inside of an AT-AT, I feel like that means she feels at home within the Empire. And I feel like if you were someone that was Palpatine, or you had that in your subconscious, you would do that. Number 2 reason is the sword fighting that she does when she has the lightsaber. She does a lot of jabbing. A lot of that. Like, Palpatine does it way too much. And it's because it's so effective. Like, in the lightsaber wielding community, there's no one else that does it like he does. And it's because, like, he's doing that because the range of attack is, like, this big. So you, as the opposing person, has to do those big swipes to actually block those types of attacks. So he's constantly messing with you by prodding at you like that to make you mess up. You know, and that's what she does. She pokes at Kylo Ren an awful lot during that fight. So just like that fighting style makes me think she could be that route. So that concludes theory number 1. If you think that it's theory number 1, put a 1 down in the comment section below. If you think it's number 2, that she in fact is a clone of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which would have happened when Obi-Wan Kenobi went to Kamino with the clone planet and sat down in that chair, he could have easily left a hair or you know, anything really of himself to be cloned at a later date. You know, so that could be it, and that would also explain the connection with Obi-Wan saying her name in those flashback scenes. You know, there's got to be a reason for it somehow. You know, that he was the one saying her voice, right? So that's number 1, that it could be a clone of the 23rd clone of Obi-Wan. I'm just saying 23rd clone. It really doesn't matter what number it is, but I just like that idea that it's the different gender because it's number 23. Okay, or what I was actually thinking is that it's the daughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I think it could be a daughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi because of the similarities there again. It's the same similarities, but at the end of the movie when she's like lightsaber locked with Kylo Ren, and he's like, you could use a teacher. I could teach you the Force. And she closes her eyes for what seems to be 15 minutes and just thinks, the Force. And then when she opens her eyes and she comes back and she's all super invigorated and just ready to cut him down and bests him. She was able to do that in the same way that Obi-Wan is able to actually get in touch with his inner rage and actually fuel that anger into power with never siding with the dark side. He is the only Jedi in the history of the entire old school order to actually tap into anger and never become a Sith. So I felt like that's kind of the same thing that she did at the end of there. So if you think that Rey is really a clone of Obi-Wan, put a number 2 in the comment section below. If you think it's a daughter of Obi-Wan, put a number 3 in the comment section below. Now, number 4 is the daughter of Luke. So if you think that Rey is the daughter of Luke Skywalker, put a number 4 in the comment section below. Now, put it now, because I'm going to tell you what the real reason is. Where she really came from. The answer is number 4. She has been confirmed through Disney Infinity 3.0 that she is in fact Rey Skywalker. We know this because Ben Solo says, "Face me, cousin," in the video game to Rey. So either she is Rey Skywalker or she is Han Solo's brother or sister's child. That would be the only way that it would be a cousin, right? But because Star Wars as a whole is a Skywalker story, episode 1, 2, and 3 is the episodes of Anakin Skywalker, 4, 5, and 6 being the episodes of Luke Skywalker, it would only make sense that they do follow suit with this and have 7, 8, and 9 be the tale of Rey Skywalker. Now that that's out of the way, Snoke, I had a theory back after my first viewing that he is really Darth Plagueis. Now, we didn't know much about Darth Plagueis in the actual movie trilogy initially, because I mean Palpatine only mentions him as his original Sith Master. But you know, through the EU, I did know that Plagueis and Snoke are the same race. I do know that. Obviously, if he was the one to teach Palpatine to jump from body to body, then obviously he would be able to do the same. So when I saw Snoke being the same race as Darth Plagueis was, a boon, you know, it made sense to me that he could be that. You know, I didn't know until today that, you know, Plagueis is a taller being, you know, and I knew about their smush-looking faces and things like that, but we were kind of debating after seeing the movie the first time, like, how big is Snoke? Like, we thought he could really be just, you know, size of like a Matchbox car, and he was just using that huge hologram as a way to intimidate Kylo Ren. But we now know that he is his race are a tall people, so that's squashed. But we do think that he could be Plagueis because the Sidious's musical theme, is really almost the same as Snoke's theme in this movie. And also, I felt like Rey was going to be a Skywalker because of the Skywalker theme. Like, it was Luke's music all the way every time that Rey was going to do anything. So I just thought that was like way overused as well. It felt oversaturated. And oh yeah, Han Solo dies. Like, first time I saw that, I was like, oh, Luke's gonna catch him. No, Luke's not there. Oh, okay. Maybe Luke's gonna show up. No, he didn't show up there either. Weird. Where's Luke gonna be? Where the hell's Luke gonna be in this movie? You know, like, okay. That was so weird. But overall, I give it a 6 out of 10. It's a favorable movie, but I also don't really think it's the best one out of all 6. I don't. I heard people say, you know, it's better than Empire, better than Return of the Jedi, better than Star Wars, better than the prequel trilogy. I disagree. I really think I like every Star Wars movie better than this one. Sorry. Well, I hope you don't unsubscribe from me because of this. Actually, I want you to hit subscribe now. Hit that like button. Watch this video twice, man. I mean, spend 2 hours. Come on. Spend it with me. Watch this video again. Because Hearst loves you. And I'm not mad that Jason Solo is not the Sith now just because his name's Jason and I'm Jason. And that wasn't it. Maybe a little, but no, not really. Alright, so comment, share, like, subscribe. Please. Bye, YouTube.